Hubert Green, the tournament leader at 11, needed that putt for bogey after being in the water. He has slipped back to 9 under par, and he is now co-leader with Rod Funseth at 9 under par. Let's go to 11.
And that is Rod Funseth. And he's putting for par. Co-leader now. And the last group of the day heads for 12 tied. Let's go to 18.
This was Gary Player at the 13th. His second shot, he was 7 under par. And he was in a reasonable distance of an eagle, which would have gotten him to 9 under par. And Player visibly pumped up. But the eagle was not to be. Frustrated and disappointed, he had just inches for a birdie putt. And so Player at 13 tapped in this birdie to go 8 under par, one back of Funseth and Green. There was a name that had been missing from the leaderboard all day, the illustrious name of Jack Nicklaus, 5 times Masters champion. We had not seen Jack until he got to the 14th. And it was at the 14th when he looked at this birdie putt. And Jack went to 5 under and made the leaderboard, and we count down to the conclusion of the final round of the 78 Masters. Let's go to 12.
Hubert Green. Going to be long. And way long. Over the backside of the green, and Hubert Green, after bogey at 11, is in trouble at 12, but Rod Funseth is safely on.
Good afternoon. I'm Jack Whitaker, and on behalf of CBS, we welcome you to the final round of the 1978 Masters Tournament. Physically, the Masters begins at the main gate off Washington Road in Augusta, Georgia. Gate number 2. Gate number 2 is for players, officials, honorary invitees, taxis, no walk-ins. Gate number 2 leads you down Magnolia Lane and eventually to the clubhouse and golfing history and to the founder circles, where we see the 2 commemorative plaques to the co-founders of the tournament, Bob Jones and Clifford Roberts. This is the 42nd Masters. It is different than the 41 that preceded it, because this is the first year without the man who made this tournament into the most illustrious golf championship in the world. Clifford Roberts made the Masters, and this tournament, beyond any doubt, is his legacy. And it will follow the patterns he set down, patterns that will allow it to change, to improve, and to grow, patterns that will allow the transfer of power to be painless and easy. Cliff Roberts at times was autocratic, feisty, even stubborn, occasionally wrong, but he seldom was afraid of change. And it's reflected here in Augusta in the great attention that is paid to details. But above all, among all the golf tournaments in the world, the Master reveres its past champions. When you win at Augusta, you're invited back to play for life. And back they come, those former Masters champions, this living Hall of Fame, honorable schoolboys all, back for a reunion, a laugh, a drink, a couple of rounds of golf, and they love it, because here they are respected and welcomed. I think that's worth mentioning in this year of 1978, when it's difficult sometimes to savor traditions, when speed is our constant, when we worship the instant, when we tear down beautiful buildings to construct parking lots. At the Masters, they believe the champions of yesterday made today's champions possible and will make tomorrow's even better. So come along with us as we show you the final round of the 1978 Masters.
This is the Augusta National Golf Club, rolling, dipping meadowlands sliced by slim forests of towering pines, fringed with azaleas, camellias, and somewhat misty with dogwood, and loaded with talented players battling down to the wire as we come now to the dramatic moments of the final of this 42nd Masters. Bobby Jones said the purpose was to give pleasure to the greatest possible number of players, to offer problems which a man may attempt according to his ability, It would never become hopeless for the duffer, nor fail to concern and interest the expert. And believe me, there is a great deal of concern and interest for the expert today. Case in point, Hubert Green. Let's go to 12.
Hubert's tee shot hit the downslope on the backside of the green. He is over on 13 almost. In fact, out in front of the 13th tee. Ken Ventura, you see that shot?
Pat, if you've never been there, you don't realize how great a golf shot that was.
He still has perhaps 10 feet downhill to save par. Let's go to 15.
A few moments ago, that's Gary Player almost coming out of his shoes as he hits his second shot very low across the water. Safely on the green and an eagle putt. But we'll go back to the 12th.
Here's Rod Funseth for birdie. Funseth and Green both 9 under, the last pairing of the day. Tom Watson 8 under, Gary Player 8 under, Kratzert at 7 under, along with David Graham. Par putt is what Hubert is citing right now. It's a little bit downhill. Miraculous 3 by Hubert Green, the co-leader. Let's go to 15. Rod Funseth made his par. Now let's go back to 15.
Gary Player putting for an eagle from 80 feet. More realistic to say that he'll be happy to get down in 2 for a birdie and a share of the lead if he makes birdie. Great putt by Gary Player, who's birdied the 9th, 10th, 12th and 13th holes to get to 8 under par. Bidding fair to go 9 under here at the 520 yards, 15th. With him is Seve Ballesteros from Spain, who started the day at 3 under, is 4 under par now, and has this putt for a birdie, having bombed the crowd to the right of the green and that cluster under that leaderboard with his second shot. They've been coming under heavy fire in the last 2 hours. Ballesteros, winner of his last 7 tournaments, if you include the World Cup. And this his 21st birthday. There you see it. Jack Nicklaus put it almost stone dead for a birdie 2 at the 16th, and that's caused Gary Player to back away. The tremendous roar when that putt went in. Now Ballesteros for birdie to go 5 under. as ever, bowled. And that was the little putt that all that Jack Nicklaus needed to make 2 at the 16th hole and go to 7 under par. And so he has birdied, in fact, 4 holes in succession, Jack Nicklaus. The 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th holes to go from 3 to 7 under par. Now Gary Player with this putt for a share of the lead with Hubert Green and Rod Funseth. This to go 9 under. And it's a tricky putt that goes a little to the left. Safely negotiated. We have 3 co-leaders. And there's little Gary Player, who will be 42 years of age on November the 1st, making one of the great charges of his distinguished career. And the brilliant Ballesteros almost overshadowed by the brilliance of the veteran. A young man who set the whole of Europe alight. Safely in, remains at 4 under par. A very creditable showing. And now the crowd join in the greetings to Ballesteros. And what a tremendous climax is in sight here at Augusta, with 3 co-leaders, Gary Player, Hubert Green and Rod Funseth, only 1 ahead of the defending champion.
Let's go to 17.
Jack Nicklaus looking over his second shot. This is Frank Lieber at the 400-yard par 4. And Nicklaus on a hot streak, 4 straight birdies. He started the day at 2 under, has picked up 5 shots, and is now just 2 off the lead himself, about 145 yards away.
Be right now. Be right, love.
It looks right on line, but a little bit short. Nicklaus about 20-25 feet below the cup on 17.
Now at 16.
Meanwhile, back at 16.
Gary Player waits here, playing right behind Jack Nicklaus, who's put on a tremendous charge of 4 consecutive birdies. Nicklaus with birdies at 9, 10, 12, 13, and 15 is now sharing the lead with Hubert Green and Rod Funseth. So Player at 16 going for possession of the lead. Flagstick way back in the left corner, overall in the water. Beautiful looking shot. Gary Player will be a tricky one going downhill and breaking, but that putt could give him the lead in this Masters and perhaps on his way to a 3rd Masters title. He won in 1961 and 1974. Now Ballesteros celebrating birthday 21. Not the youngest player to play in this great championship. Bobby Cole, who's playing here today, played at age 18. Tommy Jacobs once at age 17. Ballesteros. Some compare him to Arnold Palmer at that age in charisma and style of play. Jack Nicklaus predicted this week that he would wear more than 1 green coat. Going boldly back toward that corner. Oh, in the water. Costly shot for Ballesteros. Not quite enough. Now to Jack Whitaker at 13.
Just a moment ago, the defending champion, Tom Watson's second shot here on this par 5. As the back 9 here at Augusta is going up in flames, 12 feet from the hole for Tom Watson. This is putt for eagle to give him the outright lead of this tournament. The defending champion leads the tournament at the moment at 10 under par. Back in the fairway, Hubert Green. Going for the green. For the first time today, Hubert Green has lost the lead or a share of it. This one will be nicely on. Lovely shot here, and he'll have a downhiller of 20 feet. Rod Funseth had put his drive into the gallery. He is laid up short. He has about 105 yards to the stick for his third shot here. But Tom Watson leads the tournament at 10 under, with Gary Player, Hubert Green, and Rod Funseth 1 behind. Nicklaus, Kratzert, and Graham 7 behind, and then the rest of them in order. Let's go ahead to 17.
Jack Nicklaus looking over a birdie putt which will measure close to 30 feet. Jack bidding for his 5th straight birdie, and what a record he's had in this championship. 5 outright titles since 1971. He's finished 2nd, won it, 3rd, 4th, won it, 3rd, 2nd. That's quite a record. Big putt for Nicklaus. He has parred this hole each of the first 3 days. Opened with a 72, a 73 on Friday, then a 69 yesterday. There has been, we might add, just 1 birdie here at 17 today, and that was by the amateur Lindy Miller, who wound up, we understand, the first amateur to go under par in his first appearance at Augusta. This to go 8 under. Jack obviously thought it would break a lot more than it actually did. So he'll have 2.5, maybe as much as 3 feet left for his par, as his birdie string ends at 4 on the par 4 17th to 13.
Rod Funseth, third shot. He's 9 under. Well played. He's 10 feet. One stroke off the leader, Tom Watson. Hubert Green, 20 feet, 22 feet away for his third shot here at this par 5. And we'll go ahead to 16.
Ballesteros is going to play from the water. He's in the hazard, but he's elected to play the ball from there. Taking off both shoes. Ooh. Gambling player. He did get it from the water. Let's go back to 17.
Nicklaus for par. That keeps him 3 shots behind the leader, Tom Watson, but with just 1 hole to play. Perhaps a case of too little too late for the 5-time champion to 13.
Hubert Green now trying to regain the lead. Everyone knew what a tremendously difficult player Hubert Green is to catch once he gets the lead, but he has faltered slightly here today. But now he has a chance to reclaim it, or at least get a tie. This is Gary Player, one of the players chasing Mr. Green, measuring his putt up at 16. Now Hubert for an eagle. Well, it seems he's assured a birdie, which would put him at 10 under. He will mark while Rod Funseth looks over a birdie attempt as we go back to 16.
Third shot of Ballesteros is turning into a nightmare for him here at this par 3 hole. Playing from the water. Now he's back in the bunker in 3, back to 13.
Funseth. He's 9 under. Trying to go to 10 under. Yes! Co-leader, Rod Funseth. And he has been hard to shake this week at Augusta. Now Hubert Green to go 10 under. Watson, Green, and Funseth, 10 under. We go to 14.
Tommy Watson, second shot, 130 yards. Taking it in nice and high as he does his short irons. And right behind the hole, that'll draw back. Beautiful shot, just above the hole, some 6 or 7 feet, but a very slippery downhill putt that'll break from right to left. And Tommy's coming up to make birdie that could put him in the lead. Watson 10 under, Funseth 10 under, and Green 10 under.
The large gallery at 18th here at Augusta is receiving reports like some great battle that is slowly but surely coming their way. And they hear the gunfire. Let's go to 16.
Just a moment ago, Gary Player trying to get into a 4-way tie for the lead. A treacherous downhill breaking putt. He's done it. 4 tied for the lead. Gary Player bidding for a 3rd Masters is now deadlocked for first place. There's the tie. 4, Player, Watson, Funseth, Green, all at 10 under par. Watson bidding to break that with a good birdie try at the 14th coming up. But Player's moved into that log jam for first place. Let's go to 14.
14th hole, Gene Littler. And leaving his birdie putt downhill a little short. What a treacherous putt they have. Littler, who is 1 under par, started the day at 6 under, is 5 over for today's round, taps in his par on 14. But here's the man of the moment right now again, back on Tommy Watson. This is one putt that you just cannot wrap it. It breaks very sharply from right to left, and speed is most important here. Anything going very fast will go by at least 4, 5, maybe 6 feet. So many times this hole has proven the winner, and this could be the biggest putt of the whole tournament for Tommy. For birdie to go 11 under. Just a little firm, which didn't take the break, and it went by, and he has himself about 2.5 feet for par now. So this is not by any means a gimme. Uphill, break a little bit to his right, probably just inside the left. This is for par 4 that will keep him 10 under par, tied for the lead. And exactly what he did last year on Saturday, 3 putting from almost the same distance. Bogey 5 for Tommy Watson, dropping him back to 9 under par and 1 shot behind the leaders. Let's go to 18.
Jack Nicklaus' second shot. High above the flagstick. The crowd at 18 applauding the 5 times Masters winner, who made a tremendous charge with 4 birdies on 13, 14, 15, and 16, but it would appear that he has run out of real estate. Meanwhile, the crowd continues to react to the scoreboard, and this is Tom Weiskopf. This was his second shot. 420-yard par 4, 18. 4 times Tom has finished second here. Today he is 4 under, well back of the leaders. Let's go to 14.
Rod Funseth's second shot to 14. Above the hole, some 30 feet with a very treacherous downhill putt. Hubert Green has driven right in the middle of the fairway, not more than 135 yards from the flag. His par at 12 from over the green was brilliant, I thought. Saving bogey at 11 and then recuperating with a wood on the green at 13 for birdie. He's right back in the hunt here to take the lead. Bring it in nice and high. Right on it. And it checks up, and he'll be back about 12, 14 feet from the hole. So a much easier putt than Rod Funseth has, coming down the hill about 35 feet. Hubert Greene's just about 15 feet away now. Let's go to 15 right now.
This is Bill Kratzert over a birdie putt, having played a really wonderful pitch from the water, not the water that you see there in front of the green, but the water behind it, which is as much of a menace when the players are coming in here with fairway wood, the ground being so hard and firm. So Kratzert, chance here to get to 8 under, and of course very much in the hunt should the leaders slip. Nope. Pushed it, and that possibly could be the end of it for him as far as winning as we go to the 18th.
Tom Weiskopf, a birdie attempt. Downhill. Reminded you of the look on his face in 1975 when he missed that downhill putt to tie Jack Nicklaus. Remember? Ironically, he will conclude now with his playing partner, Jack Nicklaus. So Tom Weiskopf winds up 4 under par, 1 under for the day. Jack Nicklaus, he started the day at 2 under par and electrified the crowd with him and the gallery here at 18 as they read of his exploits on the leaderboard when he suddenly began birdie on 14, 15, 16, as well as 13. Jack is at 7 under, 5 under for the round, trying to get birdie. That's
Rod
14.
Funseth coming down for birdie. Oh! Was hardly moving. Back to 18.
Nicklaus for birdie. So Jack's look, I think, tells it all as he will tap in for his par at 18. It's a marvelous try but not enough. Jack Nicklaus at 7 under par, concluding his 20th Masters. Let's go to 17.
Just a moment ago on videotape, the second shot of tri-leader Gary Player. Player has birdied 6 of the last 8 holes. He's 20 feet away to 14.
Hubert Green from 15 feet, a hole that has only given up 24 birdies the first 3 days. 15 feet, left to right break, could put him 11 under if he makes it. Keep going. And just coming up short, just a little firmer, taps it in for par to remain at 10 under par. And co-leader. Rod Funseth has about a 3-footer, 3.5-footer for par to remain at 10 under. That ball was hardly moving going by the hole, and you can see how slippery that is. Just about almost a straight putt, uphill, 3.5 feet. And same as Tom Watson. Lets it slip to the right, takes bogey 5 and slips back to 9 under par with 4 holes to play. Let's go to 17.
Very warm greeting for Gary Player, who is 7 under for his round today. He pars in here. He's got a 65. That's just 1 shot off the course record of 64. Hale Irwin and Maurice Bembridge hold the final round record of 64. As we've mentioned, he has birdied 6 of the last 8 holes. 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, and 16. He's got a 20-foot putt for birdie here on 17, which could put him in the lead. So Gary Player, the only foreign entry ever to win the prestigious Masters, on the threshold of perhaps doing it again.
Hmm. 15.
David Graham, pitching from behind the 15th green with only 11'6" of green in which to maneuver the ball between himself and the fringe, and going to have to struggle for birdie. That was his 3rd shot here, and he's at 6 under par at the moment. Back to the 17th.
Gary Player, a little more than 20 feet away, will be coming uphill. This putt will not break that much. And keep in mind, again, we've had just 1 birdie at this hole today. We had 14 yesterday. It was in 1974 when Player last won the Masters that he hit that great second shot on this very hole, and of course had a short putt for a birdie that eventually proved to be the margin of difference. Got people moving behind the green here at 17, and Player's caddy has asked them to please stop. This to go 11 under par for the tournament, and for Gary Player for the first time in the 4 days to first place. By that much. And Player with a short putt remaining, a foot or less, for his par, which will keep him in a 3-way tie for the lead. Playing, of course, with Severiano Ballesteros. Will have about a 15-foot putt for par. Player and Hubert Green in a 2-way tie for the lead. after Gary's par putt. Watson and Funseth, one shot back. Ballesteros. Let's go to 15.
David Graham pacing out and surveying a birdie putt, which will go from right to left. That would take him to 7 under par. Not easy to come by on this green that is posing problems more than usual today. So David Graham remains at 6 under par. Lee Trevino, playing with him, has gone back from 5 under to 2 under par. He has this putt for a birdie to get to 3 under. So he's not going to win the Masters this year, but he's made a very valiant attempt to do so. Making a lot of birdies, but unfortunately the triple bogey at the 5th hole yesterday cost him dear. And after that he passed quietly out of contention. Back in the fairway, we are with Tom Watson, who, needless to say, has a wooden club in his hand and will go for the big carry, with a very real danger that if he lands hard, then the water behind could grab. Just one off the pace. The defending champion, it landed softly and beautifully. He has a marvelous chance of an eagle here. And now back on the tee. It really is necessary to give it absolutely everything you've got here to get to the top of the hill. This hole measuring 520 yards, and we'll go to the 18th.
On the tee, Gary Player, 420-yard par 4. Pines on the right, bunkers on the left. Gary short of the bunker, in fine position. Player has been in this situation before. In '62, he went into a playoff with Finsterwald and Palmer. Let's go to 17.
Hale Irwin on the tee of the 400-yard par 4 17th. Currently 3 shots off the lead. Gets a good kick back to the center of the fairway. He's in good position. Irwin playing with Billy Kratzert. And Kratzert has hung in there nicely. He shot a 3rd round 78 last year. That knocked him out of contention. Came back with a 3rd round 67 yesterday. Former University of Georgia golfer, and of course a big favorite in these parts. Kratzert fired on the left-hand side of the fairway. He's in good shape to 16.
And at the tee at 16. 6 under par. Once was very close at running for the lead. Now he's dropped 4 strokes back. That one's going to go down the bottom and leave a very delicate shot. Might even have to putt that ball up over the mound because it goes down very quickly downhill toward the cup, and with not much green. Just a moment ago, Lee Trevino here at the 16th, 190 yards, still playing very boldly and nicely he does. He'll have a good try for birdie, although right now he's just 3 under par for the tournament. This hole today, yielding 11 birdies thus far, has been a very exciting hole, but the excitement is up front, where 2 players, Gary Player and Hubert Green, are in a battle right now to hold off Tom Watson and Rod Funseth.
The silence is almost deafening down here at the 15th green as the crowd appreciates the situation in this tremendous battle, and Tom Watson has had a prolonged look at the leaderboard to know exactly what is required of him. He has an eagle putt of some 35 feet. But we'll go to the 17th.
Wally Armstrong for birdie. And that pulls him within 2 shots of the lead. Armstrong in his first Masters. Back to 15.
Tom Watson almost ready. This putt goes quite swiftly to his left as it dies near the hole. This for an eagle and the outright lead. Well, the birdie is assured, and so once again we will have a three-way tie for the lead, and at the top of the hill, Hubert Green and Rod Funseth watching as Tom Watson goes into a triple tie at 10 under par. Gene Littler tried to lay up short of the water, went into the water, played his fourth shot to there, that is for par, to remain at 1 under. Unfortunately back to even par, now to 18.
Second shot. Following the contour of the green, it begins to roll back, the crowd rooting for it to continue its roll. It's a difficult birdie putt for him, but the way Gary has been playing, anything is possible as he walks up 18, a co-leader at 10 under par. Huge gallery, enjoying a magnificent tournament. Go to 15.
A wonderful view of what confronts Hubert Green with his fairway wood. This shallow green, water back and front. Second shot at the par 5 15th. Beautiful shot by Hubert Green. Magnificent stroke. Gives him a 20-foot putt for an eagle. One of three co-leaders, and now Rod Funseth just one stroke behind. Starting that one out, the second shot out to the right. Bringing it back. Will it stay up? Yes, just on the very edge of the embankment that slopes steeply down to the water. Let's go to the 18th.
Gary Player, winner of the Masters in 1961 and again in 74. Lost in a playoff to Arnold Palmer in 1962. A standing ovation. Let's go to 16.
Defending champion Tom Watson, determined again to repeat. Coming strong here in the final round at 16, leaves it below the flagstick. He'll have it uphill, which is what he wanted, and a try for birdie here at 16. Now tied with Hubert Green and Gary Player. Gene Littler, who's had a complete collapse today, a disappointing day for him, started 6 under par, and he's now even. Had not scored a bogey until today, with fine rounds of 72, 68, and 70. Has played this hole and even pars every day. Picture swing. Some say the only golfer who hits the ball with the practice swing. Watch.
A little bit.
Passes it out to the right, draws it back beautifully. Look at that. Not many better than that one here today, I can tell you that. Only 4 feet for a birdie for Gene Littler. Looking to score some more here before his final round is up this year. 3-way tie for the lead. Gary Player, who has a chance for a birdie at 18. And we're going now to 15.
A tremendous ovation and well-deserved for Hubert Green and Rod Funseth, right in the thick of the battle as they come round the right of the pond to the 15th green. Back to the 17th.
Hale Irwin, almost 40 feet beneath the cup. This for birdie to go 8 under. It's a Very straight putt, as you can see. He'll have about 3 feet or so coming back down the hill. To 18.
Ballesteros for birdie. No birthday present. Ballesteros will par 18 and finish up 1 under. And now a tremendous moment in Masters history for Gary Player. The course record at Augusta is 64. Lloyd Mangrum in 1940. Jack Nicklaus in 1965. Bembridge 74. Irwin 75. Back to 15.
That's the putt for an eagle of Rod Funseth. Coming up very short indeed. If he'd have made it, it would have given him the outright lead. But he's now going to have to struggle for birdie with a tricky little 5.5 footer, and we'll go back to the 18th.
Gary Player, downhill, most meticulous. A par gives him 65. A birdie gives him 64. He would go 11 under to take the lead, and he would tie the course record. Hubert Green for eagle at 15, Player for birdie at 18. A 64, a course record, a birdie at 18. He is 11 under par. Gary Player, two-time winner on the door of a third. What an emotional moment here at the 18th. Back to 15.
Rod Funseth for birdie. He's got it, and so he's not out of it either. At 10 under par, Rod Funseth. And of course, Hubert Green before him. This is Watson at 16. Over there to Jim Thacker.
Putting through the shadows, Ben, looks most difficult here with these subtle breaks, and Watson is moved back into a deadlock for first place with Player almost at the very same instant as you saw in the videotape replay. Tom Watson back sharing the lead, and he too is making a dedicated drive down the stretch here to win a second green jacket in a row. There's the story. 3 of them tie for lead as we come to the final moment.
It is almost more than this huge gallery can stand. A 3-way tie. Gary Player, Tom Watson, Hubert Green at 11 under. Rod Funseth 1 shot back at 10 under, and plenty of golf remaining. Let's go to 16.
Indeed, maybe the most exciting Masters of all time here, as Hubert Green, sharing the lead, prepares at 16, first to 17.
On the tee, Tom Watson to this 400-yard par 4. Watson, along with Gene Littler, starts it off down the right side and appears to be in pretty good shape. To 16.
Hubert Green, 190 yards away, most all of it water. Straight for the flagstick. Is it the right club? Little strong, but the adrenaline has to be flowing in Hubert Green. He'll have the downhill putt similar to the one made by Gary Player here that gave him a share of the lead at that time. Now Rod Funseth. Funseth, who has gained some confidence here today. That's been his weakness before, but obviously believing in himself because he's staying very much in the thick of it. One stroke out. Going boldly for the flagstick in that corner. Look at this. Rod Funseth inside Green, putting for birdie here that perhaps could put him into that tie for first place. Who knows, as three share the lead. Hubert Green, the third-round leader, lost his lead, came back to get it again, and now shares it as he heads around this beautiful lake at 16. Gary Player is already finished with a record-tying round. Tom Watson playing ahead of Hubert Green, and we're going there now to 17.
Lee Trevino, who has birdied this hole 3 successive days, has another birdie opportunity from about 20 feet. This to go 4 under. Not quite enough. To 18.
The chip of Wally Armstrong. That was for birdie. Wally is at 8 under should he par the 18th. A welcome respite from the tension. Let's go back to 16.
Here the applause building here for Hubert Green. There's a connotation just in the very name that reminds you of the jacket the champion wears here at Augusta National. And Hubert decked in his green today. As a matter of fact, so is playing partner Rod Funseth. Maybe both hoping to match up with their attire before sun sets today in Augusta. Incidentally, you see, mention the sun, those lengthening shadows here over the green make the reading of these subtle slopes and breaks even more difficult at Augusta National. And sometimes, just to give you a reason why the veterans have an advantage here, Ken Venturi, you almost have to putt from memory on these greens. And Hubert Green facing a most difficult attempt here for birdie. This will break considerable going downhill, but it's the speed of the putt is the thing. There's a danger here that if Hubert touches this just ever so slightly too much, it could go well past the flagstick. A danger of a 3-putt facing Hubert Green, but no doubt that's far from his mind. Positive thinking young man from Birmingham. Won the U.S. Open Championship last year under that most dreadful threat, death threat in the final holes. Back to 18.
For par. So Wally Armstrong pars 18 and concludes his Masters at 8 under par. And the crowd is waiting for the completion of this story. This 18th crowd that has been led by the scoreboard and by the cannon roar of the crowds around the amphitheater. And they wait patiently, and they await what should be a most momentous conclusion to the 1978 Masters. Let's go to 16.
There are the shadows that can cause so much trouble here, reading these breaks. Downhill putt, even more so than the might appear on your screen, facing Hubert Green. Hubert, who saved par yesterday with a delicate chip shot, if you were with us, you'll recall, now has to go to his putter. And he has that trusty old putter that is heaven knows how old. The new green grip. Let's go back to 17.
Tom Watson, second shot. 8-iron, 145 yards away. Look at that shot. Watson, who did it on 17 last year on the final day with a big birdie putt, has an opportunity from perhaps 12 feet below the cup. Back to 16.
Big putt by Hubert to take the lead. And he has left it, as you see, at least 4 feet below the cup, maybe 4.5, for a par here to keep a share of the lead, perhaps. No doubt Hubert heard the signal of the applause for Watson from the direction of 17. Well, Rod Funseth has been notorious for bad last rounds, but not today. He has fought off that charge. Notice how he just touched that. Oh. Couldn't stroke it any better. Back to 17.
And a warm greeting for Tom Watson as he arrives in the green from the thousands who ring this number 17. No one is giving this 1978 Masters away. These players are going after it. And by the way, should we have sudden death, it would be the first sudden death playoff in the history of the Masters, and we would start at number 1. So stay with us. Watson will have a putt of some 15 feet for birdie. Back to 16.
This is for par for Hubert Green. Absolutely essentially making. Nope. No chance. Pushed it badly. He knew it.
Costly free putt, that downhill first putt. Costing Hubert Green a share of the lead at this moment. He drops back to 10 under par and a tie with Funseth for third place, leaving Watson and Player at the moment tied for the lead and the 1978 Masters. But Hubert Green has bounced back before today, and he still has 2 holes to go. We're going to 1 now, 17.
Gene Littler for birdie. About 25 feet beneath the cup. I think Gene will admit that's not the best putt he's ever hit. He'll have that left for par to stay at 1 under for the tournament. Watson's been gazing at the leaderboard, so he knows exactly what the task is at hand. Gary Player has finished 11 under par. And this, as we said before, is where he won the 1977 Masters. Will history repeat itself? 15-foot putt. It will break very little. And it will give him undisputed possession of the lead at 12 under par. He's parred this hole 3 days. Just caught a piece of the right side. And less than 6 inches left for his 4th consecutive par here at 17. And will keep him at a tie for the lead. Littler, for his par, he's 5 over for his round today. Meanwhile, back in the tee, 400 yards away, Hubert Green. Hubert now 1 shot off the pace at 10 under par. Excellent tee shot. Perfect position in the fairway. To 18.
Birdie putt for Bill Kratzert. Kratzert now needs that putt for par and to finish at 8 under, tied with Wally Armstrong. He started at 5 under. Needs that to conclude at 8. Huge gallery at 18. They are almost wrung out from the tension that is mounting from the roars out on the course, then from the number change on the leaderboard. For par. Barely. So Kratzert, 3 under for the day, 8 under for the tournament, tying Wally Armstrong at that figure. The next twosome will be Graham and Trevino, and then we go into the pressure cooker. Gary Player and Tom Watson at 11 under. Hubert Green, Rod Funseth, 1 back at 10. Gallery now collecting on the shores of the 18th. Standing at the 18th, 420-yard par for David Graham and Lee Trevino. Graham, 6th in the Masters last year. Won the Australian Open. Tight-lipped Mr. Gary Player. Twice he has won here, in 61 and 74. And it was in that room in 1961. He finished with 280 to win it. But now David Graham. even for the day. Pin placement back of that bunker on the left. High up on the left side and hot into the gallery. So David Graham, long and strong, and now it's Lee Trevino. Lee Trevino. Such impressive credentials, but not the Masters. Started at 5 under. He is 2 over for the day, 3 under for the tournament. And he's gone the other side and on the edge of the bunker on the right side of the green. And Lee Trevino on his way to what must be a frustrating final round, and with that to 17.
17th fairway. Hubert Green, 1 shot off the lead. About 140 yards away. Perhaps he's hitting a 7-iron. That's the information we receive. Up over the bunker and the pin. Back of the green, just 12 feet from the back edge on the right side. Looks pretty good. Yes. Hubert Green, 10 to 12 feet away from a birdie, which would give him a share of the lead once again. Tom Watson said earlier today, Hubert will not give it away. We'll have to go after him. Now Rod Funseth. On the putting surface, the 25 to 30 feet away from his birdie possibility, which could put him into a tie for the lead.
Gary Player and Tom Watson tied at 11 under par, a story that would well be written by Ernest Hemingway, because the drama and the tension is so great, adjectives are not necessary. Let's go to 17.
Funseth will have a putt of close to 30 feet. First shot at a birdie to put him at 11 under. Green just 10 to 12 feet away. Funseth, you might recall, was tied with Tom Watson for the 36-hole lead last year and finished in a tie for 14th. So he got the invitation to return, as the top 24 finishers do. Well, the amazing things about Funseth is that he has not won a tournament in 5 years of any kind. Ken Venturi, what about these shadows here? They're really lengthening.
Well, Frank, it's tough to putt through them because you don't get a real depth and can't see the line as clearly, so it's not good to putt between you and the hole. Let's go to 18 first.
Lee Trevino's chip. Third shot. Only consolation, he is slightly below the hole. Back to 17.
Funseth, by his own admission, is not the world's most positive thinker. There's some who've said he thinks more about how close he is to last place than he is to first place. Well, he knows obviously he's just 1 shot off the lead. This for birdie to tie. Not enough. Leaves himself some 2.5 feet for par.
Frank, you know, now he's just faced with par. He has to birdie 18, but the must putt is of Hubert Green's. And if I tell you what, I've seen him win a lot of tournaments and play well, and he's going to give it his best stroke because he's pretty good from this length.
This is a 12-foot putt. That would move Green into a 3-way tie for the lead with Tom Watson and with Gary Player. Player, of course, having finished Watson on 18. If we go sudden death, we start at number 1. It would be the first sudden death playoff in the history of the Masters. Green with that most unorthodox putting stance, but very effective. This for a share of the lead. So near and yet so far.
And Green, who has held the lead most of the day, now has the unenviable task of trying to birdie the tough 18th hole. And speaking of 18, let's move there right now.
There's Tom Watson. In 1975, those little saplings were planted. Kenny, do they figure in this shot?
Funseth first for a par at 17. He makes his par.
What about it, Kenny?
Well, then you have to drive to the right side of the fairway here with the pin tucked behind the bunker left to give you the best shot, to use the roll of the green and to give as much shot into the green as you can. You want to bring it in from right to left. But he has to get the ball up, and I'm not down there, but I know that they have to figure in the shot, though, Vin.
As the years go by, they will become more prominently displayed, as we said, planted in 75. So Tom Watson, this is his shot. 420-yard par 4 18th, the defending champion, second shot.
You'd almost have to bet he has to put it past the hole. He can't fool it with that bunker leaving it short, because that's definite bogey.
And he is well over the gallery on the left, beyond radio and photography towers, and down in the ironworks. In the television room watching, Gary Player in 1961 had a similar circumstance as the tournament unraveled for everyone else. So Tom Watson trying to do what has been done only once, successfully defend his Masters championship. Jack Nicklaus did that in 1965 and then in 66, but Nicklaus in a playoff to do it. It has been a long day for Gene Littler, and it gets even longer. Littler started 6 under, and he was 6 over on the front 9. He has tried to gather himself to 1 under, and now the defending champion, 1977 Masters Tom Watson, has a date with a troublesome shot. As he walks, a little note of history. This is the first sudden death possibility. There have been 6 18-hole playoffs in Masters history. On the tee at 18, the final twosome, Rod Funseth and Hubert Green. Funseth started at 7 under, and he is 10 under par. Crowd reacting to Funseth's shot. And he is in perfect position. So Funseth continues to supply the pressure, and Watson, meanwhile, accepting the plaudits of the crowd. And what a huge gallery it is. A gallery that first played this tournament by ear when they heard the roars of the crowds from the amphitheater, then by eye from the leaderboard. Here's Hubert Green in the 18th tee. And Green is in perfect position. A big tee shot for Hubert Green. And you wonder, the thoughts of a Gary Player. It is out of his hands now. He has done his work with a remarkable record 64, only the 5th man in history to shoot 64. And Player awaits the decisions and the play of Watson and Green and Funseth. For Watson and Funseth, they can look back to 3-putting 14. For Hubert Green, he can look back missing the putt on 16. Kenny, when you are down there, there are countless distractions. But first, let's look at Gene Littler coming out of the bunker. Somewhat disconsolate and disheartened, Gene Littler concluding his round. Kenny, when you are in the position that a Tom Watson is, you're almost flagstick high, but you have to shoot it down a corridor. It is slightly uphill, and when it gets up there, it's going to break to the right.
Vin, there are a lot of places on a golf course that you look and you plan and you try to get around of places you do not want to be. and left of 18 is a place not to put the ball. You can count on one hand the amount of players that can get it up and down in two during the whole week, let alone right now, and he's faced with one of the most difficult shots he could possibly have.
Tom Watson trying to keep his head above water, desperately battling to salvage par. So he needs that. So Tom Watson needs a lengthy putt for par. A bogey would drop him to 10 under. And Gary Player leaning forward, knowing that the third Masters is just a bogey away. First, Gene Littler. And now there's always this point. White knuckle time, wet palm time, dry throat time. Tom Watson for par to remain at 11 under, tied with Gary Player. A putt away, possibly, from the first sudden death in Masters history. Uneasy lies the crown as Tom Watson bogeys 18, and then there were two. A great try by Tom Watson. Started at 7 under, finished at 10 under, and the two that remain as Watson, the defending champion, leaves center stage. Standing out on the fairway, waiting for the champion to leave, Hubert Green and Rod Funseth. Funseth and Green at 10 under. One shot back of Gary Player, who has become the most interested spectator of all. Hubert Green in his 8th Masters. To give you an idea of, let's say, the greatness of Nicklaus and Palmer, they each had won 3 Masters by the time they played their 8th. Second shot for Hubert Green. Flagstick directly behind the bunker on the left. The 1977 United States Open champion Hubert Green coming up with the shot of a champion. He is still very much alive. And now, Rod Funseth. And Funseth is long. And it will come back slightly. Ever so slightly. Funseth with a very difficult putt. And so Green and Funseth and Player have their appointment with destiny, and we'll find out about it in just a moment. The story is here. The sound effects in the background, even the applause does not tell justice to this 42nd Masters. What a magnificent performance all around. Gary Player is in at 11 under. Hubert Green, Rod Funseth approaching the 18th green at 10 under. Funseth a most difficult birdie putt. Green a possible birdie putt. And then, of course, the possibility of the first sudden death. There have been playoffs here. In 35, Sarrazin over Wood. In 42, Nelson over Hogan. In 54, Snead over Hogan. In 62, Palmer over Player and Finsterwald. In 66, Nicklaus over Jacobs and Brewer. In 70, Casper over Littler. A most difficult downhill putt for birdie, and a tie for the lead for Rod Funseth. One down. And like Agatha Christie, and then there was one. Hubert Green. We had said a couple of weeks ago in South Carolina of the old song from Sesame Street, it's not easy being green. It was easy then. It's difficult now. The ability to break concentration and then gather it again. Arnold Palmer and Bill Lane, the chairman, congratulating Gary Player. And Hubert Green. It's still not easy being green. Hubert, who had been a marvel chipping and putting up until today, began with a bogey on the first hole. Missed a makeable putt on 16. Came crashing down as he missed the birdie putt on 18. And so for the third time in history, Gary Player is the Masters champion. 61, 74, 78. Take another look, another putt, and the reaction. So Hubert Green and Rod Funseth and Tom Watson at 10 under, $1 short from Gary Player. Well, friends, we'll return with the presentation of the green jacket, symbolic of the Masters Championship, in just a moment. This was the 42nd Masters, and ever since 1934, when Horton Smith won it at 284, these big, gentle pine trees and magnolias would whisper the names of the great. Names like Smith and Sarrazin and Nelson, Gouldall, Demerit, and then Hogan and Snead. And then Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus. And the last couple of years, it has suddenly been Jack Nicklaus, Raymond Floyd, Tom Watson, Gary Player, and for the third time, Gary Player wins his green coat. Hubert Green had what appeared to be a makeable putt for birdie on 18 and force it into a sudden death playoff. He backed off. There was a noise. Whatever that was, perhaps shattered his concentration, and he was unable to gather himself again for the supreme effort, and he wound up missing the birdie putt. For Rod Funseth, it perhaps would have been asking too much for him to sink his downhill putt for birdie. But this 1978 Masters This Sunday, April the 9th, 1978, will be inscribed in gold as one of the all-timers. A magnificent performance by one and all. Now let's go down to the trophy room and to Pat Summerall.
Chairman Club.
All right, Vin, thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce William H. Lane, known to us as Bill. Mr. Lane?
Thank you, Pat. This is certainly an exciting finish. Each year, the Masters is very fortunate to have many distinguished golfers from around the world to assist us in the operation of this tournament. And this year is no exception. We have representatives from the United States Golf Association, the Royal National Golf Club, the PGA Tour, the Professional Golfers Association of America. In addition, representatives from 9 other countries. For this, we are very grateful. And now this distinguished group of people are gathering on our putting green, together with our loyal patrons, to witness our public tribute to our new champion. And now my greatest pleasure today is to present to you my friend and your friend, a 4-time Masters champion, who this year will interview our winner, your friend as well, Arnold Palmer. Arnie, you're on.
Thank you very much, Bill. And of course, having played in this golf tournament and having seen and felt the things that happened today myself, I can't believe it. To watch Hubert Green miss that putt at the last hole, I know it was heartbreaking for him. To see Rod Funseth, who has been on the threshold of winning many tournaments many times, and to lose, I know it's a great disappointment to him. To see Tom Watson with an opportunity to become the second man in the history of the Masters to win this tournament in successive years, it's got to be a great disappointment to him. And to all the players who were in contention throughout this golf tournament, and to lose, it's a great disappointment. But to the man who won, I have never seen anyone in athletics or in the history of sport, really, who has been driven by a momentum that is really hard to find, such as Gary Player. 30 on the back 9. I've competed with him. I've been against him. I've seen him put forth some of the greatest effort in the game's history. And I know that he's probably the proudest man in the history of the game right now, because he has just won his 3rd Masters. And of course, we can't overlook our amateur champion either, Lindy Miller, who has done a great job, and as a matter of fact, is a young man who has, I think, shot one of the lowest scores for the amateurs, 2 under par, 286, which is, he's to be congratulated on. And certainly we can't take anything away from that. But I guess, Bill, summing it all up, we really have had one of the greatest Masters. The 42nd Masters has been one of the greatest Masters in the history of this golf tournament. And right now, I really would like to speak to Gary Player a little bit and ask him how he felt, knowing that he's getting up there around the age where these things don't happen so often. And but he hasn't played much this year in the United States. He just come over very recently. He's only played a few tournaments. To get in shape, he's been in South Africa with his family. Gary, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you feel right now and what has happened to you in the last 3-4 weeks right up to today?
Well, Arnie, first of all, thank you very much for all those nice things you said. I appreciate it very much indeed. Particularly coming from you, if I may reciprocate and say a man who has done, in my opinion, more for professional golf than any man that I know of. And maybe one of the reasons why we're playing for such great purses today is somebody like yourself who's contributed. So coming from you, I appreciate it very much. I went home last year after winning the World Individual in the World Cup, and I decided to lay off golf for 3 months, which I'd never done in my life, and I raise horses on my farm, as you know. And I just wanted to be with my family as a normal father does and do the things that they normally do, and I went to their swimming events and just had a great time. I played 6 rounds of golf in 3 months, but I practiced every second day. I hit some balls and just kept the feel. But I'm really pleased to have won here because this tournament or any major championship means so much, and just to win one in your life is an achievement. So I'm particularly grateful, and also my caddy was a great inspiration out there. The fans are fantastic. I have a friend here from Scotland who's watched all the British Opens. He says he's never seen such great behavior in his life and such a magnificently run tournament, and all I can say, this tournament oozes with atmosphere and something that I think that every athlete and every businessman and every single thing that has ever run, discipline, is what makes this tournament such a great tournament.
Gary, really, tell me, knowing your position, and you really weren't in the golf tournament until today, until the last 9 holes. You were out of the golf tournament, and in the last few holes, you came on very strong. Well, 30 on the back 9, 64, which ties the course record. How did you feel? Did you really think that there was a chance to tie or to win, knowing that at one point, with 9 holes to play, you were something like 4 shots behind?
Well, Arnie, that's right, and you know, I must tell you how I feel. You know, I'm an eternal optimist, and I said last night to the people that I was staying with, I said, yesterday, for example, I only missed 1 green on this golf course, and I shot 69. And the day before, I missed 2 greens, and I shot 72. And I've changed my putting stroke. You know, I've always been a jabber and always been a good putter that way, but I've changed it to more of a stroke, and I only tried it 10 days ago, and I said to my son who's with me, if I can just hold some putts today, I've never felt so confident, so strong with hitting the ball. I've been knocking it on the par 5s this week, which is always a great help. And I said, if I can get that putter to work, which is the same thing for everybody, you know, Arnie, if you've got to putt well, you've got to hold those putts, and I really hold them today, which makes all the difference. But, you know, Arnie, I understand what it's like for Hubert Green to miss that putt, and of course, one year I came in here with Gene Littler and Billy Casper. I needed a 4 to tie them and missed a putt and made 5, so I know how Hubert feels. And it's funny how something flashes through your mind. I had a putt about half that length to tie Billy Casper and Gene Littler, and I said, well, I never got it then, but maybe I'll get it today. And
which he knocked in the hole to really give him an opportunity to be in the position he's in now. And we've just had join us Tom Watson and Hubert Green, who are the runner-ups, along with Rod Funseth, who is coming in the room at the moment. And gentlemen, my condolences. I think the 4 of you made this really a great golf tournament, and one that all of you should be proud of. Hubie, the putt at the last hole. I think probably everyone in the audience and everyone in the world that knows golf and knows what is happening here at the Masters right now would really like to know what happened, why you stepped away from the putt, and what your feelings were at the time.
Well, Arnold, on 18, I had a pretty good putt. You shouldn't have too many hard 3-footers in your life, and I got over the putt, and I was trying to play it left center to straight because I thought it might, excuse me, I'm trying to play it right center to straight, so thinking the ball might break a little bit left. I got over the putt, and Jim Kelly from CBS Radio was doing some talking up there, and I know Jim real well, and I heard him talking, and I stepped back away, in which whenever I step off a shot, it's then my fault if I go back and miss it and don't hit the right way. And I thought I hit the putt pretty good. The ball evidently broke right. I'd like to see it here. We're on television right now. I don't know. I was going to go back and putt it again. I want to see what the heck happened to it. You know, I didn't hit the hole right well. It was going pretty firm, so I must have pushed it a hair, but it must have broken right a little bit, too. I don't know.
It looked to me like you might have hit it a little hard, Hubie. And Tom Watson, you are defending champion. Really looked like you were pretty much in command coming into that 14th hole when you had, what, about an 8-footer for birdie and ran it over the hole, and then missed the little putt coming back, which Rod Funseth missed a few minutes later, and that was the turning point for you, wasn't it, Tom?
Well, actually not. I did have a pretty good putt for birdie there. I was trying to hit it up high and let it fall in the hole, and Gene commented to me. I was playing with Gene Littler, and he said that I've hit the putt. I've tried to make this putt once. And I said, that's the last time you ever tried to make it, isn't it? And he said, yes. And I went ahead and I knocked it about 2 feet by, or 2.5 feet by. And I hit a very, very bad second putt. But I got right back in the tournament with 2 birdies. And the 18th hole, I hit a bad shot off the tee. And I really had to scramble, and I didn't make the putt. I feel sorry for both Rod and Hubert, and congratulations, Gary. It's a tremendous 64. It's in this tournament under the pressure, knowing you had a chance to win and making the birdie the 18th hole, you had to be one of the finest rounds of golf ever played.
Well, we're looking at Gary Player making another one of those great putts. This is the 18th hole, where he really holed a great downhill putt for his birdie to finish 11 under par. And Rod, this is kind of a different experience for you, being in the position you're in here. You had a real opportunity to win the Masters, and it must have been something unusual for you. Where do you feel like you made your turning point, or you lost the tournament?
Well, I don't feel like, I don't feel like I was ever in the lead, really, but when I three-putted 14, that sort of put me out of it, but I birdied 15. Then 16, I had maybe a 10-foot downhill putt, and I hit a beautiful putt, and it just caught the lip of the cup and went around. And also on 18, I thought I hit a very good putt. I lagged it down. I thought I would turn just a little left at the end, and it didn't. It stayed about an inch to the right of the hole, so I came close.
Well, you did a wonderful job, and of course, it's just, I think the four of you made a great tournament. I got to bring Lindy Miller in, who is low amateur and really done an outstanding job this year as an amateur winner. And Lindy, how do you feel? It must be a great thrill for you.
Oh, it is. It was a real honor just to come here and play, and to be low amateur and play so well has really added to it. The people here just great. The golf course was in just magnificent shape. If you ever missed a shot, it was your own fault.
Well, tell me about those guys you were playing against. How did you feel about that?
Well, I had a pretty big lead going in. Oh, these guys here?
No, any of them. I don't care. You name it. You just. How about the other amateurs?
Well, I had a big lead going into today, and my goal when I went out today was to get in that top 24 so I could come back here next year.
Well, we're going to go back to Gary Player now, the guy who really did it. And for those of you who weren't watching and didn't have an opportunity to see what he did on the last few holes, Gary really came strong. He shot 30 on the back nine. And Gary, now you've had a chance to sit there and listen to the other remarks. Has it hit you yet? Have you understood what has happened?
Well, Arnie, it's you've won this tournament 4 times, and it's the best organized tournament in the world without a question. And what has made it so thrilling for me is that my 15-year-old son and my daughter, who flew over on Wednesday night, were here to see me win it. And it's just wonderful to have your... and I had a friend from Scotland, one of my best friends, come over all this way. And so to win it with them there's something that they'll never forget and cherish all their lives. But as I said to you, Arnie, this putt I had here at 18, I had a half that length to tie Billy Casper and Gene Littler the one year had missed it, and so it's funny how things come back a few years later.
Well, Gary, I can't believe it. I think it's magnificent. I think all of you people did a good job. I'm going to bring in Bill Lane here for just a minute and ask Bill to tell us a little bit about the transition. Of course, I think all of you fellas have had an opportunity to know and understand Cliff Roberts and what he has done for the Masters Golf Tournament, and now to have an opportunity to meet and see what his successor has done, and of course the first year, which is probably the toughest year too, Bill, to come in and take over and run a golf tournament so well done. And I thought this year was magnificent. I thought the golf course was very well done. I think everything was just exceptional. And maybe you'd like to ask some of these players a few questions.
Oh, thank you, Arnie. This has been an exciting year, and particularly I want to congratulate Gary and Hubie. We thought we might have a playoff here with you and Rod and Tom, and this would be the Masters' first playoff, so we didn't have it. We were prepared for it. In fact, Gary was here watching your putt on 18. Then we're certainly happy to be our low amateur. This has been a nice year, Arnie, when all the Masters winners have rallied around me, because it's the first year that Cliff has not been with us. For this, I'm very grateful. Now, I think that...
Sorry, Mr. Lane.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
You want to say
Well,
something?
no,
Why
well,
don't
you
you
just
say something
no, you
now?
just mentioned a playoff, and I'm sorry to have interrupted, but I was sitting here watching them play, and I thought, well, I hope I don't have to go into a sudden death playoff because I've lost 17 of them, and that's not a very good average.
Now I think it's appropriate, Arnie, that we have Tom Watson, our past champion, give Gary his third coat. So
Yes, and at this moment we have Tommy coming in with the coat, and we're going to, Gary, I know that everyone in the audience want to know if you're getting a new coat, or is this an old coat, or just tell me, well, you know, how is this working, Tom?
Ollie, I've got to tell you about a coat. I've done something here that it's really against the rules. You know, this coat is never supposed to leave the premises, and when I first won my first Masters in 1961, I was so thrilled I took this jacket back home, and it's in my cupboard, and not even Mr. Lane is getting me to bring it back.
Gary, as you all know, it's traditional for the night champion of the Masters the year before to present the green coat to the champion of this year, 1978. Congratulations.
Thank you, Tom. Well,
there you go.
And Gary, congratulations from all of us. I think that's
congratulations, Gary.
Thanks, Mr. Lane.
Okay.
Thank you.
Outstanding golf.
Matey, good going.
Thank you, Hubert. Thank you, Rod, and congratulations to you fellas. Congratulations on being leading amateur.